So welcome friends to my channel, welcome back, and today's video is upon the arterial supply of the superior extremity. There are two previous videos which I have made in my channel, that is regarding the brachial plexus and its injuries. I'll give the link in the description below and you can watch those videos also. So let us start with today's video first. We will be discussing two arteries majorly about the superior extremity. One is the axillary artery and the other one is the brachial artery. So let us start with the axillary artery first. So our first topic is the axillary artery. So our first topic, axillary artery. So it starts, where does it start? So it starts, or it is from the outer margin, of first rib. So it starts from the outer margin of the first rib as a continuation of subclavian artery. So the subclavian artery, it continues as the axillary artery at the outer border of the first rib. So outer margin of the first rib, the subclavian artery continues as the axillary artery. Where does the axillary artery end? So it ends at the lower border. It ends at the lower border of the teres major muscle. ठीक है? So axillary artery कहाँ end होगी? At the lower border of the teres major muscle, and after that the same vessel which is coming as the subclavian artery, then the axillary artery, will continue as the brachial artery, which will be our next topic today after we complete the axillary artery. So the next will be it continues as the brachial artery. So the axillary artery at the outer margin, from the subclavian artery at the outer margin, converting to the axillary artery, or will continue as the axillary artery, and the axillary artery at the lower border of the teres major muscle will continue as the brachial artery. So now let us see the axillary artery in a diagrammatic form. So now let us see the axillary artery in a diagrammatic form. Now this is the coracoid process. This is the coracoid process. Now from coracoid process we are getting, there is a muscle that comes over, and this muscle is the pectoralis minor muscle. This is the pectoralis minor muscle, and here there is the axillary artery, and the axillary artery is behind the pectoralis minor muscle. The axillary artery is behind it goes behind the pectoralis minor muscle. So what happens that another muscle over here is this is the teres major muscle. So the lower border of the teres major. After that, the axillary artery will continue as the brachial artery. Correct? So after the teres major muscle, the axillary artery will continue as the brachial artery. So this is the outer margin of the, this is the first rib, and from the outer margin of the first rib starts the axillary artery. So from here up till this point, from here is the axillary artery. Now the pectoralis minor muscle will divide the axillary artery into three parts: first, second and third. The first part is above it, second part is behind it, and the third part is between this border of the medial border or the lower border of the pectoralis minor and the lower border of the teres major. So these are the three parts of the axillary artery. The first part gives one branch, second part gives two branches, and the third part again gives three branches. So 1 ka 1, 2 ka 2, 3 ka 3. Very simple. So what are the branches? So first of all, this is the first part, this is the second part, and this is the third part. This is the second part and this is the third part of the axillary artery. What are the branches? So the first part, it gives one branch, and this branch is known as the superior thoracic artery. It is known as the superior thoracic artery. Next, the second part will give two branches. I have already told you. One branch from the second part, it comes from the second part. It is the lateral thoracic artery. Okay, and another branch from the second part, that is the thoracoacromial trunk. From the third part, we get three branches. So the three branches from the third part, the largest branch, it is not just the largest branch of the third part, but it is the largest branch of the axillary artery, known as the subscapular artery. This is the subscapular artery. And we have two other branches, which are the, I'll just rub it off from here. This is the teres major. So from the axillary artery, the third part, we get two branches like this, and the two of them, they anastomose around the surgical neck of the humerus. Okay, so the one dotted one is going posterior to the neck of the humerus. This one is the, as it is going posterior, it is the posterior circumflex humeral artery. I'll write down the PCHA, and this one is the ACHA. Okay, so what is PCHA? The PCHA is the posterior circumflex humeral artery. And what is ACHA? ACHA is nothing but the anterior circumflex humeral artery. Okay, so this is the axillary artery with the 6 branches. Okay, so the first part gives one branch, that is the superior thoracic artery. Second part gives two branches, the lateral thoracic artery and the thoracoacromial trunk or the thoracoacromial artery. The third part gives 3 branches, the subscapular artery, the posterior circumflex humeral artery and the anterior circumflex humeral artery. Okay, so the thoracoacromial trunk, I'll tell you some point about it. I'll just rub it off. Okay, so the thoracoacromial trunk, it gives some more branches, that is, it gives 4 branches. So the thoracoacromial trunk, it just comes out, it emerges from the second part, and it is a very small stub. It is a very small stub of the artery which comes out from the main axillary artery, and it divides into 4 branches which are almost perpendicular to each other. The branches are almost perpendicular to each other. What are the branches? The branches are ABCD. So because it rhymes with ABCD, it is very easy to remember. Because it rhymes with ABCD, we just have to remember ABCD. What are the ABCD? I'm just going to tell you. So A for the acromial artery. So for the A is the acromial artery, P is the pectoral artery or pectoral branch, and C is the clavicular artery or clavicular branch, and the D is the deltoid branch. So acromial branch, pectoral branch, clavicular branch, and the deltoid branch. So these are the 4 branches of the thoracoacromial trunk. Apart from this, one more point that I want to tell you is that the subscapular artery, which is the largest artery, I have told you, it is the largest branch of the axillary artery, will give a branch known as the circumflex scapular artery. And this is a very important artery which plays a very important role actually it has a very important role in the scapular anastomosis. The scapular anastomosis is actually an anastomosis between the first part of the subclavian artery and the third part of the axillary artery. Okay, so this is all about the axillary artery. Now let us move on to the further, that is the brachial artery. Okay, so now we will start the brachial artery. Okay, so the brachial artery. We start with the brachial artery. Now the brachial artery. Now what about the brachial artery? So the brachial artery, it starts at the lower border of the teres major where the axillary artery ends, because the brachial artery is a continuation of the axillary artery itself. So this is the brachial artery, and let us suppose this is the bifurcation this is the bifurcation of the brachial artery into the ulnar and the radial arteries. So I will just mark, say this is the lateral side and this is the medial side. Okay, so this is the lateral side and this is the medial side. So based on that, this is the ulnar artery. This is the ulnar artery. Okay, so this bifurcation is approximately at the level of the head of the radius, and this is the radial artery. So this is the radial artery. So these are the 2 terminal branches of the brachial artery. So our main artery, that is the brachial artery, it has 2 terminal branches. One is the ulnar artery, the radial artery, and this bifurcation, it takes place at the level of the head of the radius. Okay, so now the branches, the first branch and the one of the most important branch of the brachial artery is the arteria profunda brachiae. Okay, So the first branch, this is the arteria profunda brachii, and this will give two branches again, two terminal branches. It has two terminal branches. One is the anterior branch, the other is the posterior branch, which I have marked with a dotted line. So now this one is the arteria profunda brachii. Arteria profunda brachii. Okay, so this is the arteria profunda brachii, which divides into two parts. This is the posterior branch. This is the posterior branch, and this one is the anterior branch, which is also known as the radial collateral artery. Because why it is called the radial collateral artery? Because it goes along with the radial nerve. Okay, so it goes along with the radial nerve. The radial nerve is actually, it starts or it is passing along with the arteria profunda brachii in the radial groove. Okay, and then the radial nerve does not go with the posterior branch, but it actually continues with the anterior branch. That is why it is called as the radial collateral artery. Okay, so these are the two branches of the arteria profunda brachii. Now there are two more direct branches from the brachial artery, and one of them is superior, the other one is inferior. Okay, so this one, it is known as superior because it arises from above, and the lower one is the inferior because it arises below. Okay, so what is the name? This is the superior ulnar collateral artery. Superior ulnar collateral artery. Alright, and what is the name of this one? The inferior ulnar collateral artery. Inferior ulnar collateral artery. Inferior ulnar collateral artery. Okay, so this is the branches of the brachial artery. Okay, now from the terminal branches, radial and ulnar artery, the ulnar artery is the more prominent branch, or the more, sorry, not the more prominent branch, but it is the more prominent arterial supply of the forearm. Okay, so the radial artery is not the prominent supply, but the ulnar artery is the more important supply more important artery supplying the forearm. Okay, so how does it do that? It gives one branch which divides into two branches. So what is this branch? This branch coming from the ulnar artery is the common interosseous artery. It is the common interosseous artery. Okay, so why do we call it the common interosseous artery? Because it will be dividing into two branches. Obviously, as I have been marking the posterior branches with dotted lines, this is the posterior branch. So it is the posterior interosseous artery. This is the posterior interosseous artery. Okay, and this one on this side, that is the anterior interosseous artery. Alright, so in this way we get the brachial artery, the branches, terminal branches, and the supply of the forearm, which is the common interosseous artery dividing into anterior and posterior branches. Okay, so this is the up till the forearm. Now what happens is that the radial and ulnar artery will form the deep and superficial palmar arches. Okay, so now let's study that. I'll rub it off. Okay, so now let us start the palmar arches, superficial and deep palmar arches. Okay, so the radial artery. Okay, first of all, let us make the external retinacle. this is the flexor retinaculum. Okay, so this is the flexor retinaculum. Now what happens that the radial artery, it is coming and it goes behind. Okay, it goes behind to the dorsum of the hand. The radial artery, it comes and it goes behind to the dorsum of the hand, and from the dorsum of the hand it actually goes into the anatomical snuff box and then comes forward and it forms the deep palmar arch. Okay, so it goes into the anatomical snuff box. Say this is the just a schematic diagram, and it goes into the anatomical snuff box, and from there it actually passes between the two heads of the first dorsal interossei. Okay, first dorsal interossei muscle, and it goes into the palm now and it forms the first dorsal arch. It forms the deep palmar arch. It forms the deep palmar arch. Okay, so it goes between the first dorsal interossei and it forms the deep palmar arch. Now the deep palmar arch, it will give a supply to the thumb. Okay, and the thumb, and it will go like this. It will supply both the part of the thumb, both the sides of the thumb, and this is the princeps pollicis artery. What is it? It is the princeps pollicis artery. Okay, another branch, that is the radial indicis artery. It is the radialis indicis artery. It is supplying the radial part of the index finger. So it is the radialis indicis artery. After that, what happens? Okay, one more thing. This is the axillary artery. This is the ulnar artery. This was the radial artery. Okay, this was our radial artery, and this is our ulnar artery. The ulnar artery, what will it do? It will pass superficial to the flexor retinaculum. Okay, it is passing superficial to the flexor retinaculum, and it will complete the supply of the rest of the palm or the rest of the webbed spaces. Okay, by forming the deep superficial palmar arch. This was the deep palmar arch, the deep palmar arch, and this is the superficial palmar arch. Alright, so the ulnar arteries form the superficial palmar arch, and it will give the branches. These are the 3 branches, and then one proper. So these 3 branches are the common digital arteries, and this one, the single one, is the proper digital artery. Okay, so it will the deep palmar arch is giving 2 branches. One is the princeps pollicis and the other is radialis indicis. But this will supply, the superficial palmar arch will be supplying the rest of the webbed spaces, the second, third and fourth webbed spaces, by giving the 3 common digital arteries. 3 common digital arteries, and these 3 common digital arteries are further dividing into 2 proper digital arteries each, and this is a direct branch from the superficial palmar arch, and it is a proper digital artery. So the superficial palmar arch will give 3 common digital arteries and 1 proper digital artery. Okay, so now this is the supply of the hand. Okay, now what happens is the radial artery will give a superficial branch. Okay, it will give a superficial branch which will cross the flexor retinaculum superficial to it, and then what it will do, it will go and complete the palmar arch, that is the superficial palmar arch. The ulnar artery will give a deep branch, and that will complete the deep palmar arch. Okay, so the radial artery, it is giving a superficial branch. It is giving a superficial branch which goes above the flexure retinoculum and it completes the superficial palmar arch, whereas the ulnar artery gives a deep branch. This is a deep branch of the ulnar artery which will complete the deep palmar arch formed by the radial artery. So this is all about the arterial supply of the superior extremity. Okay, thank you so much for watching this video, and please like the video, share this video and subscribe to my channel. Also, you can comment down in the comment section and let me know how do you like the video and what are the further topics you wanna see. Thank you so much.